One of the most dangerous ways to end a story is by saying that it was all a dream. But there is a way to pull this off, and today I'm going to teach you how. What's up, guys? My name is Brandon McNulty. I'm a writer. I'm the author of Bad Parts, and welcome to my writing channel. The very first creative writing class that I ever took, on the very first day of class, my teacher yelled at us and she said never to end a story by saying it was all a dream. And this is pretty good advice for the most part. I think a lot of times what newer writers will do, if they write like a crazy series of events where there's a lot of wild stuff happening and they don't know how to tie it all together at the end, they will just take the cheap and easy way out and they'll say, well, it was all a dream. That's it. That's all I got. Goodbye. And that's not the way to end a story. It's a terrible way to end a story. But there are certain dream endings that can be pulled off in a great way. Now, if you are thinking about doing a dream ending for your story, I have 3 tips for you that'll help you write a successful dream ending that will not insult your audience. First tip, you got to give your audience a clear hint that your main character may be dreaming this entire story. That is very important. For instance, in the Joker movie, early on in the story, we get to see the Joker fantasizing about being on his favorite talk show. It's just a brief scene, but it gets us into his mind and it lets us know that he has a tendency to fantasize things. Then later on in the middle of the story, we see him fantasizing more and more, and later it's confirmed that he had in fact fantasized an entire relationship with one of his neighbors, as well as some other things going on in the story. And then at the very end, when we see him dancing around Arkham Asylum, then when we're wondering, okay, was this story all a dream? It certainly seems like it could have been. It's much more palatable to the audience because it was set up properly at the very beginning, and then again at the middle, we got to see it in action one more time before at the end we have to decide for ourselves, was everything a dream? Were parts of it a dream? What type of story was this? That's how you build a satisfying ending. The important thing is that you have to be clear early on that your main character may be dreaming this entire thing. Number 2, decide how much of your story is in fact a dream. And this is very important for the writer to know because sometimes dream endings, they will end ambiguously, meaning that they could be real, they could be a dream, there could be a middle ground. There's plenty of stories out there where audiences will debate whether or not everything actually happened or whether or not it was all a fantasy after the first 10 minutes or so on and so on. But you as the writer need to know this. You need to know how much of your story is real, how much is fantasy. If you were writing American Psycho, for instance, this is a great example of a movie where you have a scenario where at the end it leads the audience to believe it could go either way. But I mean, if you were writing American Psycho, you would need to know, okay, how much of it was imagined by Patrick Bateman, the main character? Did he kill all these people in the movie, or did he just imagine it himself? Was it all in his head? Or was it a little bit of both? Did he maybe kill one person and then imagine the rest? Or did he commit some acts in the story and the rest was, just him fantasizing? You need to know exactly how much of it happened before you can worry about whether or not your audience will believe it. Number 3, and this is the most important one, a dream ending must serve a meaningful purpose. And this is so important because if you use a dream ending just because you want to tie up loose ends or because you don't know how to end the story, you're doing it wrong. A dream ending should never be a situation where, okay, I've run out of ideas, I don't know how to end this, so I'll just use a dream ending. No. If you're using a dream ending, it must be purposeful, it must be calculated, and you have to decide that a dream ending is a great way to end the story. Typically, the best dream endings tie into the character's mindset in some way or another. Maybe your character has some kind of mental issues, or they're dealing with some psychological trauma, or maybe they're dealing with something like guilt, or any other possibilities, but it should tie into your character's mind and how their perspective on the story impacts the audience. And this is important because dream endings can only play out in one of 2 ways. They could either be lazy or they could be brilliant. Obviously, you want yours to be brilliant, so you need to find a way to tie in the dream ending with your character's mind and with their psychological situation. Some great examples of stories that do this are Joker and Inception and the 1990 movie Jacob's Ladder. And if you haven't seen Jacob's Ladder, it's about a Vietnam vet who goes through a series of psychological terror terrors, and he grapples with the idea of life and death, and there's a lot of great stuff going on in this movie. I don't want to spoil it on you. It's something I recommend, and if you're a fan of the Silent Hill video game series, Silent Hill was actually inspired by Jacob's Ladder. And Silent Hill is another great example of a series that explores how things like guilt can affect the human mind. So there are plenty of great examples out there. You just need to look for them, and you need to pay attention to how these dream endings serve a purpose and how they affect the characters' minds. So I hope this helps. Question of the day: have you ever used a dream ending in one of your stories? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos. Hit the like and subscribe buttons for me. Share this video with a friend. Pick up a copy of Bad Parts if you haven't already. And as always, remember, this was all a dream.